Welcome to Tech in the Right Direction, the podcast. This week, I'll be speaking with Maggie Reed. Maggie's journey as a working woman has been defined by her relentless pursuit of personal and professional growth, fueled by a thirst for knowledge and a readiness to adapt to new technologies. After overcoming a chronic illness that left her bedridden for over 2 years, she fearlessly entered the workforce at the age of 53, forging a successful career in technology. Today, Maggie holds the prestigious position of Senior Customer Success Manager and Engagement Lead at a Fortune Global 500 company. In addition to excelling in her role, she actively mentors other women within the organization and holds leadership positions on committees dedicated to advancing the causes of women in the workforce and women in technology. Passionate about promoting women's issues, Maggie leads discussions to find solutions for the challenges faced by women in technology industry. Her unwavering commitment to gender equality and inclusivity serves as an inspiration to her colleagues and peers. Welcome to the show, Maggie. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you. It's quite an honor to be invited to join you.
Great. So, Maggie, as a woman in tech, can you share with us your career journey and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, I was coming out of a 4-year disability and I had decided I wanted to rejoin the workforce.
Hmm.
So I put that desire out into the universe. I'm a big believer in putting things out into the
Hmm.
universe, and the universe gave me an answer pretty quickly. What I wanted and what I needed was a part-time job working remotely. And the job I was offered was that of a project coordinator. Didn't know a thing, even what a project coordinator was. So when I started, I actually sat in on my first meeting with my laptop on my lap, Googling what is blank? What
Hmm.
does blank mean? Because of all the words and acronyms, and none of it made any sense to me. So I literally started with zero knowledge.
But you were
And I
not intimidated. So that's
well,
very, very powerful. Very
thank
great.
you. I find
Hmm.
that it really helps to come at something knowing that you don't know something.
Hmm.
So many times we get frustrated because we're like, I should know this, I should know this. But if you come at something new saying, I don't know anything, then you can become a sponge and start absorbing, and you're not resisting or fighting it. And as a result of having come from that place, I'm now part of the leadership team, and I train and mentor new members. And it really helps me to remember that moment with the laptops going, what
Hmm.
does blank mean? And I try to bring that to the training and efforts of bringing on new members onto the team.
That's great. That's great. Great journey. So, you know that I'm very passionate, and I know you are, about bringing girls into tech. And girls 8 to 13 is the age that we can encourage and guide them and really, bring them in. And I know many schools are focusing on STEM education, but you say arts and science go together for a reason. Tell us more about that.
Well, I always found it really interesting that arts and sciences always share the same space in education. If we ponder it for a moment, it seems almost contradictory.
Hmm.
But if you sit on it for another minute and 1 minute further, you'll find that the answer is right in front of you, because arts and sciences at their core are creative.
Hmm. So yeah, that's very true. And now schools are actually adding arts to STEM to make it STEAM. Have you heard about that?
I had not. That's really
Yeah,
interesting. I'm
yeah,
very glad
yeah.
to hear that. That's really interesting.
So you're spot on when you say they go together because now STEM is STEAM. So they are including arts as part of the sciences, which is really, really cool.
That's beautiful. I'm really
Yeah.
glad to hear that.
So how do we encourage more girls to consider math as an important subject in school? I know you went through this. I wanted
Mm.
you to share your story.
Well, yeah, I'm a perfect example of someone who doesn't get math, which my whole
Hmm.
family finds hysterical because I work in tech. Uh, it, After many years of not passing fifth grade algebra, and if I'm going to be completely truthful, I would still be in high school if I had to pass that class. They
Mm.
finally gave up and let me graduate. But working in tech, I am working in mathematics and numbers all day long. It took me having to see math as a language, not
Mm.
as dry numbers on a piece of paper, but actually as a language, that it all kind of fell into place for me. And I think that the way we're teaching math is where we're losing girls.
Mm.
I kept asking when I was in algebra for the 20th time, how can I use this in my day-to-day life?
Mhm.
Just give me an application here. And I always got the answer. It was never satisfactory. And it was, you just have to learn it.
Mm.
Well, that my brain checked out. I'm not
Mhm.
going to learn anything unless I can have an application.
Right.
Girls need to collaborate. That's how they learn,
Mhm.
through collaboration. And they need to understand the hows and the whys of what it is they're learning.
Right.
So if we were to tell girls it's a language and they can use it to unlock secrets,
Mm.
now you've got the girls interested.
Mhm.
They can use mathematics to send secret notes to one another. They can challenge one another with different uh, formulas and everything. And if they can start seeing it as a language to communicate, I think and not sit there with a piece of paper and 20 different equations that need to be solved.
Mhm.
I
I
think
love
girls
that.
would really lean into it.
Yeah, I love that. It's a language and consider
Hmm.
it like learning a new language and it becomes really exciting.
Yes.
That's great. That's great. So now in this male-dominated tech industry, you talk about power of pearls. Tell us more.
Okay, so it's really kind of my passion project. I started
Mhm.
it over 20 years ago. I started observing in the workplace that men, now this is pre-COVID when everybody was in the office, but
Mhm.
men would have softball games, they would have golf outings, they'd do the fantasy football, and in doing that, they were, whether consciously or unconsciously, networking with other men beyond
Mhm.
their work area. Women, we tend to be more intimate and
Mhm.
we're building strong relationships within our immediate work area, but we weren't building those relationships beyond our immediate work area.
Mm.
So, women who are vastly superior to men in the relationship building area, we were failing miserably because
Mm.
we were so focused on the immediate. So I started a group of women who would wear pearls. It was something uniquely feminine. I've yet to find a man who's wearing a pearl necklace. I'm sure it'll happen, but I have yet to see it. But it's something that's uniquely feminine. And it's a way that we can communicate quietly and privately amongst ourselves. So if we're in a conference room and we may be the one or maybe two other women are in the room and we want to speak up, and you look around that room and you're intimidated to speak up, you can see the other women wearing pearls and know that you have allies, that somebody in that room has your back.
Oh,
And
I
then
love
you can find the courage to speak up. So the pearls represent, first of all, your commitment or oath to supporting other women and having each other's back. But also, each individual pearl on your necklace represents another relationship, another network that you've made. And recently, I heard a story about one of my coworkers where her granddaughter had to walk across the stage and give a speech. And the granddaughter was saying to her, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm too afraid. And she took off her pearls and put them on her granddaughter and said, put your hand on your pearls when you're on that stage and remember all the women who love you and stand behind you.
that. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that right there is my mission. So yeah, I'm trying to get women to get their pearls out of the jewelry box and not just wear them for weddings and funerals, and to wear them every day with your sweatshirt.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I want to get me a strand of pearls now because I don't think I have a strand yet. So I think I want to do that.
Okay,
And
so
so that
there
I
the
can support other women.
so the expression, the woman was clutching her pearls. I want to
Hmm.
take that from a negative to a positive, and I tell women to clutch their pearls all the time. That way, they're reminded of all of the dynamic women in their
Yes.
lives that stand
Yes.
behind them.
I will have a whole new meaning of when I see pearls now. I love that. That is so awesome. And so do you identify who the women are in your life on those pearls? Do you think about that?
Oh, yes. I
Hmm.
am so fortunate and so blessed for some amazing women in my life. And I would have to say that I'm one of the richest women I know because
Oh,
I have friendships that go back to when I was 12, 13 years old. I
hmm,
have relationships with women that, have endured the test of time. So in that regard, I'm a very rich woman.
that's great. That is so great. What a great way to look at it. So each one of those pearls now has a meaning. Each first pearl identifies a woman, right?
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps. I love it. So, Maggie, who inspires you and why?
All right. So this answer is going to be very unexpected. So you're going to
That's
have to
fine.
go on the journey with me.
Yes, I'm ready.
Queen Elizabeth the First.
Ah, okay.
All right. So I think about her and draw strength from her every single day of my life
Wow.
because she had every disadvantage.
Mm,
The first one is, yeah, she was a woman in a man's
mm-hmm,
world, a true man's world.
mm-hmm,
And, one of the things that nobody talks about is look at the way the women back then had to dress. I mean, that was like 25 pounds of garments and corsets and everything. And that was
mm-hmm,
every day.
mm-hmm,
I'm challenged to put on a pair of slacks and a shirt. I can't even
mm-hmm.
imagine having to dress and function the way they did back then.
Right.
She was declared illegitimate by her own father and watched her mother die.
Mm,
She was arrested by her Catholic sister.
mm,
And then once she finally survived all that, she came to the throne. And from almost the first moment they put the crown on her head, they started trying to marry her off.
mm,
So when I look at Queen Elizabeth, it really puts some of the challenges in my life into perspective.
mm-hmm,
But what she did right, she prevailed and ended up being one of the best monarchs in English history because
mm-hmm,
she surrounded herself with the best minds of her time
mm-hmm.
and she listened to their counsel. And at the end of the day, she relied on her own judgment, but she didn't try to have all the answers. I think a mistake a lot of people make is they think that once they're, have achieved a certain level within their career, they have to have all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have all the answers. All you have to do is have the right questions. And so she surrounded herself with the best minds of her time and made sure that she had the right advisors. And you can look back now to her reign, and it is considered one of the best in English history. So a lot of lessons can be taken from her.
That's great. Wow. She was resilient. She
Hmm.
persevered every day. She didn't let anything get her down, which in a male-dominated world is not easy. So that's awesome. That is an awesome inspiration for all of us.
Oh, and she loved pearls too.
Oh, see,
Yeah, you should know
there's a
that she loves
connection.
pearls
Yeah.
too.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Yeah, I watched The Crown and just loved it. Just watching her, when they changed, I think in one of the newer seasons, they had a newer Queen Elizabeth, and it wasn't the same. The first
Okay.
one was really, really good.
I'm actually talking about Queen Elizabeth I back in
Oh,
the
the first.
1500s.
Yes.
I'm not talking about
Oh
Queen
my
Elizabeth
gosh.
II. I'm talking about
Ah,
all the way back to Queen Elizabeth I. Now the
see,
clothing
I've
makes more
learned
sense.
something. Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm learning something. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for that. Yes. Thank you for aligning that correctly. So, Maggie, what has been your biggest challenge in your career and how have you overcome it?
Well, if I'm going to be 100% candid,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in it right now. And it's happened in the last week.
Wow.
And I was absolutely knocked off my feet for a few days, trying to reconcile why I'd been passed over for a promotion.
Mm.
And I was left questioning, berating myself.
Mm-hmm.
Questioning would have been kind. I really berated and abused myself for a few days.
Yeah, we do that as women. I'm telling you, we
Yeah.
have negative Nancy in our back.
Yeah, it's our first go-to place. But I
Mm-hmm.
think we have to go through that in order to really get to the other side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was asking, what's wrong with me? What am I missing? It's a good place to start because then you're at least taking ownership.
Mm-hmm.
You're not automatically blaming others.
Right,
Well, this
right.
person, did this and that. You're starting with what's my ownership here?
Right. You're taking an inventory of yourself.
Absolutely. But at some point, you have to put on your big girl pants and get some answers.
Mm-hmm.
So I reached out to an old and trusted friend who had been a former VP.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a really long conversation. And he provided me with some of the hard truths I needed in order to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that hard truth, sometimes we have to step outside our own head and seek truths, not our truth, the truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we have to have people in our lives that can tell us, frankly, when we're being an ass. If you
Right.
don't have, if you don't trust somebody enough to tell you that you're being an ass, then
Then you don't
when
have the right group. Yeah.
you don't have, and also when they say good and affirming things about you,
Mm-hmm.
you can't really trust that either.
Right.
So you have to have people that can really give you the hard truths.
Mm-hmm.
And in my case, he validated how I was feeling and that it was legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
But then he gave me some perspective on ways in which I can reframe this situation and, more importantly, how to manage up. So I didn't get the promotion. I can sit here and curl into the corner and suck my thumb and feel sorry for myself, or I can take positive steps and ask questions about the path forward,
Mm-hmm.
asking management, what did I miss? What are some milestones I should hit?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, uh, the best I can say is I will be managing up and I will let you know when I can put this in my win column. And I
Great.
will.
Great. And we'll have you back on the show to do that because it's so important. So, so do you have like a roadmap now to follow to say, okay, these are the things I need to do between now and then, and this is my goal?
It was really interesting because one of the things that he said, some of the advice that I had gotten was, put together everything you've accomplished and the revenue numbers and put together bullet points so that, you can talk through it.
Mm-hmm.
And what my friend said is at his level, his brain would check out after the first bullet point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he said, ask open-ended questions that elicit conversation for him to speak and not just give me yes and no answers.
Right.
And ask for those milestones. Ask what the path forward is.
Looks like. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So his approach was more asking questions that force some thought and consideration
I think that's
from
really
the
good
VP.
advice.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and that's more of a conversation and less of a presentation, and I like
Hmm.
that.
Right. And
So,
it's really getting their thought process,
mhm.
understanding where he's coming from, because that's the end result. That's where you have to get to. You can talk about yourself every day to him, and you're not really understanding what he's looking for.
But the other thing that he said that I thought was really relevant to this conversation is that this is something that we as women in male dominated fields, such as tech,
Hmm.
are faced with over and over and over again.
All the
And
time.
he
Yep.
acknowledged it's not fair, but we have to start to learn if how to effectively deal
Hmm.
with these situations.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, do you remember those punching bags of Bozo the Clown? You punch it and it
Hmm.
bounces back
Hmm.
up. Well,
Yep.
I've got a picture of that on my laptop right now.
Good. Yeah.
You
And
know,
we're going to step back up, right up, and
yeah,
go again.
knock me down. I'm going to get back up. So
Great.
yes, this I will put this in the win column. I'm working it now.
Great. Well, we wish you the best of luck, and I
Thank you.
know you will do it. And we have all confidence in you, as you will in yourself, because that's the main thing, is that when you decide, I'm going to do this, I'm going to win, you will. You'll figure
Yes.
it out. And that's very, very important. Thank you so much for sharing that, because that is so important for women on the show that are listening, to help them get to that next level, right? Because, like you said, a lot of times we just go in the corner and just feel sorry for ourselves, cry in our plate, and that's it. And nothing changes. Here, you have to say, okay, how do I change this? Now, do you have any mentors?
Actually, I do.
Okay.
But I want to go back to one thing you said a minute ago.
Hmm.
We do have to allow ourselves a certain amount of time to feel our way through it. If we need to
Right.
cry for 2 or 3 days, we need
That's
to give
okay.
ourselves
Hmm.
permission. We don't have to
Absolutely.
always be strong. And like Queen Elizabeth, we don't have to have all the answers. We just have to ask the right questions.
That's
So
great.
I worked through it. I now have the questions, and hopefully I'll get the answers. Now, as
Hmm.
far as my mentor, um, I've always believed in mentorship. I don't
Hmm.
care what level you are. You need to have that sounding board that you can trust, and who can also champion for you. When you're at work, you don't have to navigate the waters by yourself. You need to have a champion out there that is
Absolutely.
somebody at a leadership level above you,
Hmm.
that can you
Sing
can
your
sound
praises.
things
Yep.
off, sing your
Hmm.
praises, champion
Hmm.
for you, but also help guide you for additional learning, so that you're not just stuck in your own head. You get a different perspective. So I I choose my mentors very carefully. I've been honored by several of them, but I particularly have my mentor now, who is a huge champion on women in technology,
Hmm.
and she's a miracle for me.
That's great. That's great. And I wanted to stress on mentorship, because it is so important for us women to have somebody to just talk to
Hmm.
relate with, to have us have a champion on your side, to understand. Some things are just difficult. This was a big promotion. It's a difficult piece to say, oh, I didn't get it, but you will. It will take time, but you will get there. But you need somebody to be in your court picking you up.
One of your pearls.
Yes, yes, that's right. One of your pearls. I love that. So amazing, amazing. Now, this is a selfish question, because I have a bucket list long of lots of places I want to travel to, and I love traveling. So, what is your most favorite place that you've traveled to, and why?
Okay, so my most favorite place is Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, I'm planning on going there. I'm going to have to get
Well,
ideas from you.
absolutely. When you go, I will give you a list of favorite places. But there's something about Charleston. It's considered the holy city, and they have all these beautiful old churches. It's
Okay.
steeped in American history. Even during the Revolutionary War, it was considered the jewel in the crown, and everybody was fighting to have control over Charleston. It's
Mhm.
one of the, I don't know which number, but I think it's in the top 10 ports in the
Mm.
United States. It might even be in the top 5. But the food, oh my God, the food in Charleston.
Oh, I'm
It's
there. I'm a foodie, so I love food.
yeah, it is a foodie's paradise. So
Okay.
from its very beginning, because it was a seaport, foods and spices and flavors and teas from all over the world have always come into Charleston, and the chefs and cooks there have
Mm.
always experimented with it. And now there's a trend back toward legacy recipes and
Mhm.
heritage, like heritage tomatoes, and
Mm.
taking traditional Southern cuisine and putting a modern spin on it. And
Mm.
the food is just unbelievable. So, and there's a place there. I'm going to make a commercial for him. It's called Christophe
Mm.
Chocolatier, and he's a
Okay.
third generation French chocolatier, patisserie. And you
Mm.
go in, and there are all these beautiful hand painted chocolates. And
Oh
it's
my
just,
gosh, I want
I
to go
know.
tomorrow, but I'm not going till July.
Well, when you go, you let me know, and
I
I'll give
will.
I'll
I
give you a
will.
few places to go. But
Sure.
when I'm there, I just feel whole. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm going to be making a trip down there very soon, just to kind of get a reset.
That's amazing. We're going to Myrtle Beach actually, with the kids and family. And then when they leave, I want to go to Charleston for a couple days. So
Sounds
I would
amazing.
love your list. Yes. Oh my God, this is so exciting. I just met a couple women from Charleston that took a cooking class with me, and they were just raving about it. So I said, okay, I will add it. I'm going to Myrtle Beach and I can go to Charleston pretty easily. So yeah,
You will not forget it. Now, I will
no,
tell you that Charleston in July is just,
it's hot. Yeah.
it's hot. But
Yeah. And that's okay.
if you take, instead of a walking tour, if you take
Hmm.
the harbor tour,
Okay.
it's at night and it's cool, and you're out on the boat, and they
Nice.
take you around the outer island, and they tell
Mhm.
you the history, and it's kind of like a ghost tour. So they tell you about some of the ghosts in Charleston, and it
Mm.
was one of the most enjoyable tours I've ever done.
Okay, so start your list because I'm going to be asking you for it.
You got it. I will send it to you.
Awesome. I love that. I knew that was a great question. Well, Maggie, this was such an honor and such a pleasure to talk to you. I know you've inspired, just with this session, you've probably inspired a lot of women to jump into tech and really build that confidence, with some of your advice. So I love, love, love our conversation. Can you share with our listeners how they can get a hold of you?
Sure. I have an email. It's pearlpower61@gmail.com. And I can
Great.
also be found out on Twitter, which is the same, at
Mhm.
pearlpower61.
Perfect.
So
We'll put that
feel
in the
free to
show
reach out
notes
to
as
me.
well. Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes so everybody has it. But what a pleasure. Thank you again so much, Maggie. It was such a pleasure and an honor to have you.
Thank you so much. You have a great day,
Thank you.
and wear your pearls. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Tech in the Right Direction. Please take a minute to subscribe or follow so that you never miss an episode. Also, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thank you. See you next week.
From IT skill enhancements to end user adoption training, Directions Training is your resource to help optimize the effectiveness of your technology investments. Over 500,000 students have taken advantage of our wide selection of technology and business training solutions, covering the most popular applications today, such as Microsoft 365, Azure, Windows 10, and more. As a podcast listener, we invite you to take advantage of an exclusive offer. Receive 30 days of free access to our Microsoft official curriculum on-demand courses for IT professionals or end users. Visit us at www.directionstraining.com/podcast to claim this offer today. Hurry, this offer is only available for a limited time. Success is a journey. Ask for directions.